Thank you very much, Bob, and I want to pay a special appreciation to the AEM officers and members that have given me this recognition. But I have to admit to you very quickly, it must be shared with the other co-founders that worked with me, John Shemeda, Jim Seaver, and Ed Swingle. They may be only names to you, but they were my partners and closest friends. They're not with us anymore, and they've left me, the old guy, with holding the pot. So I am extremely delighted on their behalf to accept this award. You know, it's kind of a coincidence that we're meeting here in Napa Valley, and I remembered that after I read the paper, that it was just 25 years ago, shortly, this week, while I was an employee at Deutz Alice, that was a successor to Alice Chalmers, and I was hired there to do a turnaround because in the prior year, doing about $300 million of business, they lost $80 million. And that's pretty hard to do if you really worked at it, but they did. And so I had a nice challenge, and I brought in people that I trusted and were loyal and hardworking and very dedicated people, John and Jim. I was sent to Cologne that week in a rush, urgent meeting, at which time our German parents said that they were now going to focus to the east because the wall had gone down and they no longer cared about being in the United States. Would I please buy the company? I was 59 years old. I hadn't really had that in my plan, and I might have been a visionary, but didn't envision that at all. And I said, well, I'm working with these young fellows. I'll go home and see if any of them are interested, but not me. But I went home, and they didn't have anything else to do, and neither did I. So we said, okay, let's try this. The story of AGCO and how it began and what we went through is the American dream, and little did I know it then. But as time progressed, we did things that were a little out of the box, as you might have heard already. And certainly, it was rewarding after 15 years to have moved up the scale, if you will, to over about $5 billion in revenue, continuously profitable on the New York Stock Exchange and the Fortune 500, and many, many other awards that went along with that growth. We did it, as I said, a little out of the box. Multiple brands, different approaches to the business. And one of my favorite stories with the shareholders was, what are you doing with all these brands and how do you do that? And the example was right here in California. I forget the name of the town, but it wasn't too far down in the Joaquin Valley that there was a major crossroad in the farm community and a dealer on each corner. They were all ours. And I said, they all sold different brands, and I go to bed every night knowing I got the deal, no matter what happened. It convinced the shareholders enough that they gave us some more money. Anyway, we went out and made these acquisitions that brought us very specific items in new products that we didn't have, new technology we needed, and certainly manufacturing excellence all over the world. When we started, we had one factory, the Gleaner factory in Independence, Missouri. That's all. And today, we have factories all over the world, as I said, and the volume, Bob, I think, is over 10 billion at this point, so it's still going. There's a momentum of success in the company that I think makes me more proud every day than anything I can think of, except this honor tonight. I know that it's probably a little off the subject, but one of my career buckets, we all are supposed to have those, was to have the opportunity to meet Mikhail Gorbachev. Because if he hadn't taken the wall down, the Germans wouldn't have called me, and I wouldn't have had a chance, got it? I wouldn't have had a chance to buy the company. And lo and behold, about 15 years ago, right here in Napa Valley, I met Mr. Gorbachev, sat down, and told him the AGCO story and what he meant to us. Can you imagine all the people he freed into a free society in the world? And I'm telling him about some little company in the United States. He was a farm boy, and he understood the whole program. So it was a big reward for me to be in this area, and I guess being back in Napa Valley again is kind of coincidental with this award tonight, and I very much appreciate that consideration. In closing, I just want to point out to you that my appreciation to my colleagues is so great that I can't really cover it all. I worked with some of the finest people in the world in different companies. I had great mentors, and of course the greatest in my life was my father, who set a program in the house. They had a lot of programs in the house that I had to follow, but the one was that I could not use the word can't. It was prohibited. If I wanted to discuss something, I had to discuss it on the basis of how can I do something. And I guess that went with me for a long time and created a desire, maybe subliminally, I was desired to figure out how to do things that other people maybe hadn't looked at. And I think that drove a pretty good message for our success at AGCO. I could not thank our dealers enough all over the world, but especially the ones in the beginning here in North America who were down on their luck after the recession of the 80s, and they needed a lift, and they took faith in our vision and really got behind us, and without them, we'd have never made it. So I'd also like to thank my wife and my family, children, for their love and support, and I am reminded of one more thing as I depart the stage, and that is on many occasions and several in the latter part of my career, flying home from an acquisition, thinking about what had just happened, I always came up with, it could only happen, an AGCO could only happen in the United States of America. No place else in the world was this American dream possible. I'd like to charge you with continuing to protect and preserve that opportunity in this nation. We need it for our future generations. Thank you again for the award. Thank you.